Hey elementary students, it's Mrs. Fondre. Today we are going to be learning about a new artist, and his name is Paul Gauguin. Can you say that? Paul Gauguin? It's like he's going, gone, right? Paul Gauguin. So I'm going to talk a little bit about him and show you some of his art and why he's so famous, why we remember him, all right? So let me get my presentation open so I can share that with you, all right? Here we go. All right, so Paul Gauguin. All right, so Paul Gauguin was born in 1848 and he died in 1903. So he is been gone for about 100 years, which seems like a long time. But if you think way back when we talked about cave art and ancient Egyptian art and ancient Mesopotamian art, which is like 5,000 years ago, that's not too old. 100 years is not too much. He was from France and he was a painter and a sculptor. And the reason why we remember him and really appreciate his work is because he was very well known for being one of the first artists to use really big, bold color. All right. If you look at his self-portrait in this slideshow, he looks kind of mild or muted or not as colorful. But you can look in the background, you can see some really yellow people and some red trees. It's kind of unusual. So we'll talk more about those in a little bit here. With using all of these bold colors, he also liked to exaggerate people. So he usually made them look either longer or different colors, or he made them look a little bit more unusual or a little bit more abstract, which means not realistic, okay? And also he's very well for some jungle scenes because he lived in Tahiti and Peru for a while. So he lived in some very tropical places. So he painted some very tropical places. And he also had some religious work as well. So he had a big mix of things he liked to cover. So like I mentioned, he did live in Peru for a while and he is considered a post-impressionist. Okay, so what is a post-impressionist? If you remember way back when we talked about Claude Monet, you can see a Claude Monet picture on the left here with the boat and the sunrise. And we talked about Monet being an impression artist where he got a good first impression of an area, but didn't do all the little details and how that was such a big idea in art. So since that was Impressionism, Post-Impressionism is after that. And it's the same idea of kind of quick capturing a moment and getting a first impression, but at this point, they get a little brighter colors, a little more exaggerated or bigger than what it would be in real life. And eventually, post-impressionism, where we are now with Mr. Gauguin, will move into expressionism, where it's lots of big colors and lots of stretchy lines and really over the top kind of painting. So we're kind of in this fun time period where the art is starting to change more and more to getting almost more abstract or not realistic, like I said. All right. So here are some paintings I wanted to show you to kind of get this idea of this big, bright color, all right? You can see the one on the left is called By the Stream in autumn, and you can tell that tree is just yellow, so bright. And in autumn time, maybe we'll see some yellow trees around, right? But usually they're not that vivid or super bright, right? Even the ground looks bright yellow and just, wow, what color he's using. And the painting on the right, the Breton woman and the goose by the water is a much more abstract because you can see there's blobs of red nearby and we're not quite sure what that is. Maybe it's part of the grass, maybe it's part of the water. So there's just lots of big, bold colors that he's using, which is why he's such a big deal and why we talk about him today. Here are some of his jungle paintings. I thought I would be wrong if I didn't point out and show you a few of these. These are some well-known pieces. So he painted some of the local people. The one on the left is called What News. It translates to, from the native language, Parapu Api, which I'm probably not entirely saying correctly, but I'm going to give it my best try, right? And the one on the right, you can see it's a landscape with peacocks, right? We don't have peacocks wandering around in Wisconsin, but in the tropics, that's just a common bird that you might see in that area, all right? And the last one that I want to show you to kind of give you a big idea of these big colors and these bold colors is this Tahitian mountains, all right? They're bright orange and brown, and they're just so warm. There's even pink mixed into them too. The ground is so yellow with almost like this salmon pinkish color for a path. There's just so many bright colors today, all right? And that's going to get us into our projects, all right? This is one that I want to show you with a very basic example of blue trees. Do you see blue trees around? Probably not, unless you put maybe some lights on them to make them blue. But we're going to be working on doing abstract or not realistic colors today. Another fun word for that is arbitrary. Can you say arbitrary? Arbitrary, very good. So I'm going to show you a basic way to draw a landscape, and it's going to be up to you to pick the colors, and I'll get into that in a little bit more, but I got to set up my stuff first. So while I'm getting set up, and you can pause the video here, you're going to want a piece of paper, a pencil, and something to color with, like crayons or colored pencils, maybe some markers. So I'll meet you back here in just a little bit. Pause the video and grab what you need. All right, elementary friends, I've got my paper. Hopefully you have yours too. And I'm going to start with a pencil. We'll worry about coloring later. I got a box of crayons nearby for myself. But to start drawing a landscape, there's one really simple way to start, and that is by playing the line game. I talk about this in almost every grade, where if you draw a horizontal or very flat line, you give yourself a sky and the ground, and that's what most landscapes are. They're outside somewhere, and you got to have a sky or ground or water, something below the sky. So we're going to start by doing, I want to do almost like a little bit of a hill for mine, so it looks a little bit more interesting than just a straight line. So I'm going to start from one edge, and I'm going to go up a little bit, and I'm going to go down a little bit. I'm just going to give it a hill, something a little more interesting. If you want to keep going from here with adding some different levels or layers to your drawings, you could add almost like a mountain in the background, kind of like his Tahitian mountains. You can do some more kind of lumpy hills behind it to look more like mountains. That might be kind of fun, but it's up to you what you want to do or what you want to add. And from here, let's just keep adding to things that we might find outside. So maybe some trees would be great. I'm going to put some trees kind of in the foreground of my drawing, which means it's closest to you in the space. But here's kind of the fun thing. If you draw a tree and you're like, oh, well, I'm going to hit my hill and my mountain, I'm going to hit stuff, that's okay. We're going to just have that go up, and we're going to have it go up. And that's, if you cross over, you have an eraser. Why not erase little parts of it if your tree is in front? All right. Now maybe I want it to be a palm tree, because all of our Paul Gauguin pieces are from a tropical place. Let's do some palm trees. I'm going to do kind of a swerving line down and a swerving line down. Maybe I want to do some little zigzag lines to make it look like a palm tree, and I'll do some zigzags on the other side. That's kind of a fun tree that we don't get to see enough of, so might as well draw some of them while we're home and thinking about someplace warmer. Maybe we'll do another one up here. And like I said, if you go over the top of your background or the things in the back, you can just erase parts of them and put them back, put your pieces over the top. All right, I like doing zigzags for my trees because I think those are a nice texture, that fuzzy kind of feeling for your leaves. Okay, so we can keep it really simple and just end here. But like I said, if you want to add maybe some shrubbery or bushes, or maybe you want to add like a waterfall, or maybe you want to add a river, I'm going to let you go as above and beyond as you want to today. All right. So I'm going to keep it simple with a tree, the ground, mountain, and sky. Now, for coloring, there's one major rule, okay? And I'm going to switch here so I don't have to, so you can't like cheat and look at mine, all right? The one rule that we're doing today is that it cannot be the real color. And what I mean by that is, since we're talking about arbitrary or abstract or not realistic colors with Paul Gauguin, when you're coloring in your tree leaves, what color are normally leaves? Probably a greenish or maybe a yellowish color. So that means you can't use those colors. Maybe you want to do purple. Maybe you want to do red. Maybe you want to do orange. Okay. okay? And like the ground, normally the ground is some sort of a green or like a yellow, maybe for like tall grass, or so make it something else. All right, I'm going to challenge you. You got to push yourself today to think what's different and how can I make this different, okay? So actually, I've just decided I don't want to even show you the colors I picked because I want you to come up with them on your own. All right, I know usually if I show people an example, they copy me way too much. So it's okay if you kind of copy my tree and the mountains and some of the landscape lines, but I want you to come up with the color on your own. So when you are all done with your drawings and they're colored and they're finished and they're beautiful, would you please take a photo of your drawing that you did and put it in either Seesaw or the Google Classroom, wherever I posted this assignment, okay? I'm really looking forward to see what you come up with. This can get super creative, all right? You could even add animals, people, like you can keep adding things in and doing it very arbitrary, very not realistic colors, all right? So I'm so pumped to see what you come up with. Please, please, please send me a photo. I would be so happy to see it, and then I can mark it in my book that you got it turned in. I won't have to hunt you down later and find it. So if you have any questions, comments, if you need some supplies, or if there's any other things I can help you with, please let me know. I can't wait to see what you come up with for your tropical landscapes. Happy creating!